Hey friends, it is Mermaid Becca here, and I'm super excited this came in the mail recently. This was something on my wish list that I've been looking for quite some time. It is the Mythic Tarot by Julian Sharman Burke, illustrated by Trisha Newell. And I think this is the 2003 printing. I'm trying to figure out where it says it on the box. I was able to scoop this up brand new. I was trying to find it. So anywho, here we are. We're gonna do a little unboxing of some Happy Meal today. And I guess someone was selling this for a good price. I found it on eBay, and I kind of couldn't resist the price that it was. So, not the first printing edition, but I think this is the second printing. So, I guess the first printing has originally black backs. These are not that. This is going to be, ooh, it came out the cloth too. So we've got like this bluish purple guidebook here. And the backs are like a bluish purple. I know it has the copywriting. I really don't mind. I bought this basically because of the artwork. And so I was looking for the artwork, and I was looking at it for a good price. And I do remember when this deck came out in 2000. I think it was 2003. Correct me if I'm wrong. So there's that. And I just was tempted by this many times and never got it. So ooh, it's super silky, like stretchy silky. Oh, so it gives you like a trying to cover everything. It has numbers on it, and so it does the Celtic cross spread, which is really kind of cool. I don't have anything like that, so that's pretty neat. Kind of like a stretchy, silky material. Put that to the side. And I love the vintage colors on the border. And I love this Empress. She is absolutely stunning. The cardstock is maybe not the best. And the High Priestess is gorgeous. But this was brand new. Somebody just had it sitting on their shelf or inherited it or something. And so I'm really happy to have gotten it. I just love the imagery on this deck. And I love the checkerboard. We actually used to visit a place called Fish and Chips in Woonsocket, and they had a checkerboard floor in there that just makes you dizzy. And great memories. Temperance. I mean, she's just I love this deck. It's gorgeous. It's stunning. Strength is very. We have a male figure this time instead of a female. The lion. And look at that hermit. Handmade. We have Scorpio, our death card here. This one's very different from a lot of the other death cards. I like that one. Definitely. This is beautiful. She's opening up this treasure box here, and all these dragonflies are flying out. Moon. The set of the baby. He's like all grown up. Judgment. This is very interesting. It is like the full union of like the divine feminine and the divine masculine all in one in the world and in the hermaphrodite. And I think it's very unique depiction of it. I think it's brilliant. Ace of Cups. Oops. It's beautiful. I bet if you trim this, you would get the copyright in the trim, and it wouldn't. If you have this deck and you've trimmed it, I'd love to know how that came out. And I just love the coloring. It's not too bright. It's not too like faded or pastel. It's kind of like someone used the watercolor pencils, like the watercolor pencils. That's what it feels like. Someone drew this with the watercolor pencils. I love dragons. I love dragons. Love them. The dolphins. Viking boat. This just has really great imagery for the Ten of Wands. I love it. Wow, look at that. Powerful. There's two of them. Is that? It's the first Knight of Swords, I think, where there's two of them on there. I think it's a little bit bigger cardstock than like your traditional Rider-Waite. Yeah, it's a little bit, a quarter-inch or so on the top and bottom. It's a little bit bigger, so it could be trimmed. And they're like all alone. Like usually there's like more than one person in the Five of Pentacles. So you feel like really alone in that. Interesting. Working hard. Just get a couple of cards left. Right. Queen. King. It definitely is a little bit bigger to handle, so I may think about trimming it. It ripples just fine, and row, and it shuffles pretty good. I mean, it's not fabulous cardstock, but it doesn't seem to stick together, and it shuffles just fine. And if you're a riffle shuffler, it riffles pretty good. So I'm excited. It is, the cards are, I mean, I have good size hands, but I do feel like these are a little bit big. So slide them around. So let me see if it says in the book. It says 1986, Fireside Edition 2001. So I'm guessing this is a 2001 edition. So it goes over introduction of the tarot cards, Mythic Tarot. Major Arcana. And then, I mean, there's not color photographs, but I think it's good paper. It's not too white. Like, I really have a hard time reading on really white paperwork because of my dyslexia. I think it's a nice ink. It's not really black ink either. It's kind of like a blue black. All of that, all the suits, all the court cards. Reading the cards. Two example spreads. So we've got the Celtic cross, and just acknowledgements. So I'll go back and see if I can read a little bit of I can read a little bit of this. It says the Mythic Tarot We have attempted to restore something of the original simplicity and accessibility of the tarot cards by redesigning the deck in accord with the images of the Greek gods so beloved by Renaissance artists and writers, in which form the cultural underpinning of Western life. The Greek gods are not the exclusive property of any particular esoteric school, religious doctrine, or spiritual path. Emerald yet containing profound moral truths, they predate and permeate our modern Judeo-Christian religious symbols as well as the art and literature of the whole Western culture, and they remain the most fundamental and precise images to describe the many-sided and multicolored workings of the human psyche. They are symbols of raw nature, of our own raw human. I think. See, I apologize. I'm not the best reader. The symbols are of raw nature, of our own raw human nature. Okay, it does say it twice. In its deep ambivalence of body and unconsciousness. Our understanding of our own ambivalence has depth psychology, which inevitably has had to return to the source, the pagan gods, for its understanding of human behavior. Thus, in the cards, while at the same time resurrecting the old gods who have been buried beneath centuries of embellishment. What then is myth? Our dictionaries offer several definitions. One is that myth is an untrue story, a perspective which is no doubt valid in one sense, but sadly inept in another. Certainly, no archaeologist has ever found the bones of Oedipus or Hercules, but may be untrue in concrete terms, may be true on an inner level as a type of subjective experience. The word myth can also imply a scheme or plan, and it is the meaning which we consider when we look at the tarot cards. Mythic images are really spontaneous pictures sprung from the human imagination, which describe in poetic language essential human experiences and essential human patterns of development. Psychology now uses the term archetypal to describe these patterns. Archetypal means a pattern which is universal and existent in all people and all cultures in all periods of history. Birth, for example, is an archetypal experience. This is obviously true on a concrete level. We all have at one time or another been born, but it is also a psychological experience of an archetypal kind because every time we begin something new or enter a new phase of life, there is a sense of birth, and birth also implies other subjective states, because being born means leaving the comforting and serene waters of the maternal womb, whether this is on a physical level or a psychological one. Death is also an archetypal experience. We will all one day die, but death likewise is psychological because life changes and we ourselves change. And each time there is an ending of any kind, a separation or an end of a phase of life, there's a sense of death. Puberty is the passage from childhood into manhood or womanhood and is also archetypal. We all pass through the profound physical and emotional stages of puberty between around 12 to 15 years of age, but we may also make this passage many times during our life on an inner subjective level. Each time we move from an essentially childish or naive way of viewing things to fully embracing of life, which penetrates and deepens us. For this reason, a myth such as the abduction of the maiden Persephone from her mother by the underworld god Hades is both an image of the process of puberty with its terrifying separation from the comfortable parental world and its invasion of unknown life, and an image of psychological experience which can occur whenever we have been clinging to naive, maiden-like views of life and are forced by experience to discover unknown depths in life and in ourselves. Myth portrays archetypal patterns in human life through pictures and stories. Greek myth is a sophisticated and perennial, alive, imaginative description of what we are made of inside. This is what seized the mind of the Renaissance, and it is what peeps from behind the often mystifying imagery of the tarot cards, which transcended the change in culture and consciousness to the last 4 millennia and restore us, like the old memory systems, to a sense of connectedness with ancient and eternal designs. We can now see that there are really two avenues by which to approach the tarot cards. We can take the historical approach, which is essential, factual, or we can take the psychological approach, which is essentially archetypal. With the first, we can explain, or we can at least try to explain, the origins and initial intentions of the cards, but the second opens up the issue of their eternal fascination, despite the fact that we are more scientifically knowledgeable and now know better. In the imaginal world, get a better seat. Where was I? In the imaginal world of the psyche, experiences are not connected by causality, but by meaning. Patterns other than the concrete ones are at work within us, and unless we have some understanding of the psyche, the strange coincidences of tarot cards can seem frightening or disturbing. Connections between events in outer life and the images of tarot cards are not because the cards are magical, but because there is a shared meaning. This is why we mean birth, death, and puberty being inner as well as outer experiences. We meet these experiences again and again on different levels at different times in life, and thus there is a tarot card which describes each of them, and which will somehow mysteriously appear without apparent cause in a spread of cards at the moment when we are inwardly experiencing such an archetypal event. Thus, the way in which the tarot works, in a predictive sense, is a kind of mirror of the psyche. The archetypal nature of the images strikes hidden unconscious chords in the card reader and reflects hitherto unknown knowledge or insight in relation to the client's situation, thus apparently revealing things which could not possibly in any rational way be discoverable. This is why clairvoyant or psychic powers are not a prerequisite for a sensitive reader, but rather an awareness of the archetypal patterns or current at work in life reflected by the images on the cards. We may now turn to the cards themselves to understand better the grand archetypal design, story, or myth which is portrayed in their ancient images. So I apologize, I'm not the best reader, but I'm really excited to have this deck in my possession. Kind of waited a really long time for it. It's probably one of the very first decks that I've ever wanted to collect and work with. I really just do. Oh, I've shuffled it backwards. I do love the imagery so much. So I'm super excited to work with this one. So yeah, thanks for hanging out with me here for my unboxing, walkthrough of a Mythic tarot deck. And so thanks for visiting me here at Mermaid Bay Tarot, and like, share, or comment. Do you have this deck? I think it said it was the 2001 edition. Did you trim it? And it's something I am considering doing, maybe just trimming up the sides and leaving the top part. I think I'll have to see if someone's done that. I think somebody probably has. But let me know, and we'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks so much for hanging out with me, and we'll see you next time.